Hey folks, Cam Hawkins here from Trading Nut. Welcome to this Crypto Nut edition of the show where we've got Nathan Sage back on the show to talk about the likes of Bitcoin, Ethereum. Bitcoin's in the range. Is it going to break out of that range? He talks about the crypto exchanges such as Binance, why they're being attacked, the miners, where are the miners mining these days, jumps into a bit of technical analysis, then gives you guys a case for the long-term view of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Where could it end up by the end of the year? Dives into altcoins a little bit as well. Now, guys, if you don't know who Nathan is, Nathan was one of my students, one of my early students of my Robot Builders Club. He went on to build over 25 fully automated algorithms that he's licensed to hedge funds around the world. He did lead the largest crypto fund in Europe as well at one point, and now he does his own thing. You're going to hear about that in a second, but guys, let's jump in. Let's hear from Nathan.
Hi, it's mid-July and I'm Nathan Sage from sagestrategies.io. If you're looking to trade the most volatile assets in the market, that's crypto. If you want to do that on autopilot, plug and play, and get some great results, then please do check out sagestrategies.io. In a market that's dropped 65% over the last couple of months, we've actually made money in this market. We take longs and we take shorts, but we manage that risk in such a way that even in the bad times, you protect those capital. And my goodness, in the good times, if you look at our live track record, you can make some serious money. Now, let's look at these markets and try and work out what is going on. I'd love to say the last week has been exciting, but it really hasn't. We've been caught in this range since mid-May, and we want to know, are we going to break this range? I mean, some good news. Elon Musk, he continues to tweet, but realistically, his tweets are not influencing the market, which creates confidence in people's ability to invest because the markets aren't going to go up and down just based on someone tweeting the market. We've seen Binance in the news. Globally, there seems to be an attack on Binance around regulation and the ability to put money in or take money out. Well, you've got to bear in mind, as you can see from the market caps, that Binance is by far the biggest crypto exchange. And certainly if you look at the narrative that's been put forward by governments, by banks, by regulators, crypto is a scary place to be, and if we can tame those retail traders and actually scare them in this market, because it is risky, then that's a good thing. And so I think the attacks on Binance, and particularly Binance, is just because of their sheer size and the need to be able to make sure that when we trade this cryptocurrency, it is done in a regulated fashion. It is done from the point of view that we know who's trading in, and it isn't used for criminal activity, because the long-term technological advantages of the blockchain are absolutely here to stay and superior. We've also seen this week the movement from miners into Canada, into the US, and specifically this week, we've seen them coming into the market. We've seen the difficulty rate, the hash rate relating to the difficulty of mining reduce, which means that's a positive sign. That's very, very bullish, and we're going to see that coming into the market even more in the near term. Let's look specifically at some technicals and some chart action, let's say. So here we go. This is the daily chart of Bitcoin. I've simply used a 40 EMA, which is the yellow line, and a 20 EMA. Basics, obviously if it's crossing, it signifies a movement down, and basically we're looking for pullbacks in the 40, bounces back up, pull back into the 40, bounces back up, and this is the normal kind of very, very, very basic way to look at this market. I personally don't use moving averages in the way that I trade, but it's a very good way to explain what's happening within the markets. Also, and you've seen it before, a really nice way to try and predict support and resistance zones is to use zones. And we simply look back in January, we look at these movements, we look at these wicks, and we look at creating zones off the base of these wicks. And so again, you can see very easily that the movements we've seen recently are very predictable. We can see here, we've got some more zones. Let me just draw those on so we can see what's going on. We've got a zone there, which you can see perfectly. Just move that across, and so you can see here we've moved down to the zone, we've moved back in, down, back in, down, back in. It's a very, very easy way to see support and resistance. Equally, as you go up, you can see we're going to have a zone kind of there. We're going to see zones right at this top end around there, and so you can start seeing. Obviously, we've got an area of support and resistance here. So here you can see if we're bouncing off these zones and we're moving up, and we can see our support, our dynamic support and resistance through our moving averages. that looks pretty bearish actually. But actually, if you look at how many times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, how strong is that support area for actually a movement up? And so although we get a situation where we've got this descending kind of triangle here, which again would usually mean a breaking down of that, I actually think we need to look more than at just this chart to decide what's really going on within the crypto markets. Now, let me show you another chart. This is my Bloomberg chart. Within here, what I can see is we can see massive strength in divergence. We can see, this is, I said, this is a daily chart. We can see the same price action as we saw on my trading view chart. But when we look at the momentum, and this is the momentum of basically buyers and sellers within the market. This isn't a MACD, this is a momentum indicator that I use. And basically I can see the divergence within that indicator. We can see that actually price continues to flatten out or even make lower lows. And yet we've got that momentum of bearish power coming into the market, which is a very, very bullish sign. Equally, if we look at the on-chain analysis, what we can see is we can see the grey line, which is price, and then we can see the orange line is a number of addresses. And we've seen it fall off. We saw it fall off early before actually price action reduced. And this is the number of addresses on exchange which have got greater than 1 Bitcoin. And we saw those exchanges reducing, and therefore the price moved down. But if you look at this, look, we've got strong movement up of people getting back in and buying in and accumulating coin. Even though price is coming down or even consolidating, we've got that divergence. That's a real bullish sign within the market. Now, let me show you another thing. If we look at seasonality, and this is the US dollar. Now, bear in mind, Bitcoin is often Bitcoin against the US dollar, which means that if the US dollar has great strength, then naturally you would expect Bitcoin to have some weakness. If US dollar is weak, then naturally, regardless of whatever else is going on in the market, you would expect Bitcoin to have some strength. So if we look at this over the last 10 years, and this is the factual information around seasonality, what price has done relating to the dollar index, we can see that within the dollar index, that over the period of sort of June to mid-July, we can see the dollar index rising, and therefore it's going up, and therefore you would expect consolidation or even movement down within Bitcoin, which we've seen. But then if you look at where we are now, and we look specifically of July into sort of end of August, we can see that actually there's a 70% chance that dollar index is going to go down, which gives more strength for Bitcoin to go up. So again, a really good bullish sign. Now, if I just switch that over and look at specifically Bitcoin to dollar, so rather than just the dollar index, we can see that actually there is a trend upwards of Bitcoin over that same period. So bullish, we've got divergence in our technicals of what the bulls and bears are doing from a momentum perspective. We've got on-chain analysis to say that actually people are buying and accumulating coin. We've got seasonality on our side. So again, I appreciate if you look at the technicals and those zones, there can still be a breakdown, but actually there's a lot of positivity in the market. I think you've also got to consider that regulators, banks, institutions, hedge funds, they are all plowing money and time and resources into this. How can they all be wrong? Surely with this understanding and this foundation that's being created and this accumulation, we're going to see a movement up. Now, specifically, if we go back to this chart, where would I be looking to buy? Well, realistically, on a daily chart, I would be looking to buy around this area. So I wanted to come back up. I wanted to actually break and actually show that it breaks those dynamic areas of resistance. I wanted to come through the zone. I want to either break it and close or actually retest the zone, and then we are moving up. If we look at specifically where I would be targeting, and this is on a long-term perspective, clearly I would probably come down to say an hourly chart and actually trade this on an hourly, but for an understanding of where to get in from a support and resistance perspective, I would use the daily. Clearly, if I'm looking to take this up, I will be looking to take this from a target perspective back up to this kind of area, probably actually initially to this zone here, which is around the 47, probably back down, and hopefully at that point this dynamic support and resistance will be coming back up. We will touch that, and then hopefully we'll move back up to retest the high. Again, my view based on the infrastructure that this is creating is we still have a very good chance of actually going higher than the high by the end of the year. If we also look at other markets, for example, like Ethereum, Ethereum has been very correlated to Bitcoin, and we can see similar price action. Again, the 14 moving average, back in, bounce, and then we see some support on the 20. We've broken through that, we've come back, we've retested, and obviously we've then bounced back into this zone area here, back up, retest, and I'd imagine we're going to come back up down here, and then hopefully we're going to get a movement up. Currently, if we look at this, again, similar, we're going back up to the top and we're going to retest the top. So I'm not saying this couldn't break down a little bit more, but certainly if you look at the fundamentals behind this, they're bullish. If you look at the on-chain analysis, they're bullish. If you look at my view, the technical from the point of view of momentum and what the professionals, not the speculators, but what the professionals are doing, they're bullish. I do agree that from a technical perspective, however you look at Ethereum or Bitcoin, there's a little bit of proof that we need to actually buy into this. But you can be patient. You don't need to buy now. This is the most volatile asset in the world. It has provided the most crazy returns compared to any other asset class. And therefore, you just need to be patient, wait for the timing and wait for you to get that pullback, enter the market and ride that market. If we look at the alt market is already starting to warm up. We've seen some excellent opportunities since the fallout within the alt market, the price that you can buy some of those coins that have got amazing infrastructure behind them is really very good, and there's a lot of opportunity, and that market's starting to warm up, and that market I think is another bullish sign for Bitcoin. So we've got to be patient, but realistically, however you look at this, my view is that Bitcoin is going higher, and equally my view is Ethereum is going to follow that also. So if you're interested in actually doing this and actually doing it automated on autopilot, then please do check out our strategies at sagestrategies.io. The market dropped 65%, as I said. We made money over that period. You manage the strategies you want. We've got 25 to choose from. You choose the risk levels that you want. You've got a full support team to help you with that. And you've got the benefit that we come from a background of professional fund managers, so we manage risk exceptionally well. Thanks so much for listening. My name's Nathan Sage, sagestrategies.io, or you can find me on Twitter at Nathan Sage. Thanks so much. Wishing you a very successful July.
So there you have it, guys. Nathan Sage dropping epic insights into the crypto market. Now, do remember, he was one of my students at my Robot Builders Club. So if you do want to take the same path as Nathan, then head over there. It's all on Trading Nut. There's links under the video, and check out the Robot Builders Club. I teach you how to build fully automated trading systems or semi-automated trading systems using the MetaTrader 4 or MetaTrader 5 platforms, and there's no coding at all because we use an EA builder. So go and check that out. After you hit subscribe, hit like and click on that bell and click on the notifications, click all, and you'll get notified when future videos like this go live.